Guys, how you doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I am just out here trying to show y'all my face. For whatever reason, it's deciding it does not want to do it. So I apologize again for the um, mess ups here, but I do my best. So let's go ahead and go into. I'm going to go over a couple of things here real quick. So one of the things I really do like looking at the markets overall in general is just that. So if you guys come here to like the volume for CME, right? Um, this is really one of the largest futures trading firms in the world. This is really where the futures started. So I bring this up because one of the things that I do look at, and it does help me out, is looking at actually cryptocurrency futures, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And I think as time goes along, we're going to definitely see, Poly, and a few of the other, or Matic, and a few of the other ones that are out there that we really, that are just Solana, um, Sol. We'll probably see those guys come about here as well, right? But right now, this is what we see. And so one of the things that I do like to look at is kind of the volume here that's being traded here. And it's kind of seeing like overall, and you can see like volume over a month or over a 20 period. But you can see here that there's not a lot of volume here as we would on the 5 minute, let's say compared to the SP 500, which has like 40,000, 30,000, 15,000. But you still have quite a bit of volume either way. And comparative to, let's say, the other markets here. Um, and so I say this because, like, if you look at the daily here, we're talking 400,000 contracts being traded here, which is a pretty substantial amount when you think about any other major. Oh, that's crude. I apologize. This should be okay. This makes more sense. I don't even understand why it went to that route. But you can sit here and see that it was 2K, 3K. Um, I was sitting there going, man, something's up with this. Um, yeah, you can see here that these contracts, now they're traded on a monthly basis. But if you notice here on a daily basis, we're talking maybe um, there's really not much volume going in here. I know on my charts, my personal charts, there's about 3 or 4 thousand maybe. Sometimes, it's 10, 15,000 that actually go into this. But but in the future, we're definitely going to see when you start seeing crypto become adopted overall, you'll start to see a lot more kick in. So I just want to show this off to you. So this is one of the things that I look to. I go to the CME group, and you can actually, there's a little trading tool, this simulation, you can actually go through and trade this to kind of get maybe the hang of it. They have some cool tools here as well. So just to throw this out here, I just wanted to kind of give you guys heads up. And it's going to be cool to start seeing as people start to come into the space and you start to see major institutions starting to trade, because this is one of the ways they can trade crypto, right, is through this route. So it's one of those things that it's something for you guys to just kind of look at and pay attention to, because it's primarily one of those things that I see in the future really picking up. And as you guys can see the inception of it, you can sit there and look at certain things. So it might just help you a bit just by paying attention to these things and looking at. Hopefully, it looks like my screen here is freezing up a little. So excuse me. I'm so sorry about that. That's in all your guys' ears. I am so sorry. So, but I just want to bring this up just so you guys can see here and check this out. Um, and just look at, also, I like looking at the other markets around the world. You can sit here and see agriculture, interest rates, like bonds, 3 year, 2 year, excuse me, not 3 month, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, and then the ultra or the 30 year right here. And so this kind of gives us a good little which ones are in the front, and you can sit there and look at it and just see what's going on. So yeah, I just wanted to share this here with you guys in case you guys, just little things for you guys to see. Play around. You can come here to the CME futures, and there's quite a few of them like this, besides the Chicago Board of Trade. All right, guys. So let's jump back in. Let's jump into the markets here real quick. So we're gonna look at some stuff intraday to see what's going on a little bit further. So now, let's go ahead and let's go over real quick the S&P 500. So we've got some major news coming up here. Um, I do not know why this isn't showing me. Hmm. I'm still having issues. It was showing live when I actually went live. So let's try this again. I just don't understand why this is not working. I think it's working. Nope. It wants to. I can see that it wants to. Mic is muted. Okay, let's try this again. What's up, Mr. Major? Monsieur? Oui, Monsieur. How you doing? IG? Yeah, I would love to do IG, but I'm just having some issues with it. Let's see if I can see if we can make this thing happen again. So let's try this. Done. Let's try this. Yep, so for whatever reason, this isn't allowing me to get it to work. All right. Let's just go right into the charts then. Okay, guys, so this is the S&P 500. You can see here we're bouncing off of that 20 period moving average. We put in some seller wicks, and now we're pushing down. This is on the daily chart. I'm going to jump here real quick into the weekly just to prove we bounced off of that 8 moving average and now continuing down. Now, and most importantly, I also want to point out that we are putting in some wicks here. And these wicks I'm looking at, even though they're buyer wicks, we're staying under this this 8 moving average. So I think, I mean, when I say I think, because today hasn't finished. But if this finishes off with about 2 wicks here, I'm seeing us really, because of the majority of the moving averages. I really think we're going to sit here and see this continue down on the S&P 500 going down, and because we have a correlation with Bitcoin and also with the Nasdaq, which Nasdaq's probably going to be pretty similar. Yep, as we already see right here, right, for this week, we can definitely start to see that this is starting to correlate. We hit this the 1 week moving average, or the 8 moving average on the weekly here. We sold off again. We're putting these two wicks here, so I can see us kind of turning around and coming down to a lower point here on the S&P 500. For me, not the S&P 500, but the same for the NQ. So this is just important to look at and see what's actually going on with it. As you guys can see right here as well, if we go down to now, let's check out Bitcoin, or let's check out first the daily here real quick. You can see here that Bitcoin is kind of following this pretty well. And I'll jump right into it real quick so you guys can see. It's pretty close. So with that, you want to kind of play it similar. I've noticed sometimes that the Nasdaq will sell off before we see Bitcoin sell off. So it's almost like a leading indicator, but it's something to be paying attention to. I mean, you don't want to play off the 100%, but it's something that I've noticed within the markets that we're definitely seeing. So making sure that you guys are paying attention to that. Real quick, I just want to put a disclaimer. This is no investment advice. The information provided on this video, website, and stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not treat any of the video website content as such. I Mean Chain Capital and Moonrock Guests do not recommend that any cryptocurrency or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of investing into crypto or any assets involved you're in, assets invested in, excuse me, or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but it is for entertainment and social educational purposes. All right, here we go, guys. So we'll just jump right in here. So we're at this point where this is the weekly low. Up here is the weekly high. So we want to be paying attention to that just simply because if we push through these areas, either we're going to see a sell-off and then a pull back into that area and then probably another sell-off, or a push up and then pull back and probably maybe a push back up. But I really doubt it primarily on the push up, just primarily because we are in a strong downtrend, and so we have a lot of higher time frame SMA sitting right above us. We have the monthly, we have the weekly 8 right up here, we have that monthly 50 right here, and we also have that weekly 200 period moving average sitting around here. So with that said, being mindful that you really do have more or less sellers out that are wanting to step in. Now let's go ahead and look at the intraday here. You can see here how we are definitely more or less going sideways. Now, again, not that you can make money off of a sideways market, you definitely can. But if you do, you want to make sure that you're finding some type of consistent sideways pattern that you can trade. So for example, right, like for me, I personally use the 200 period, 4-hour or 8-hour SMAs for myself, right? And I use maybe the 8 or 20, whatever one I can see is respected. And then I trade in between, right? And this is the key, is I'm not thinking this is going to go to the moon. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and hold on to this. I'm going in and I'm making daily income. So one of the things I'm looking at is really important. That is, I'm trying to find a consistent SMA that I can sit there and say, oh, okay, this is moving. Like if you look right here, we have the 8 moving average, which this has consistently come back and hit, and we sell off, right? And so I sit there and I look, what's the distance that I can drop here, right? And I sit here and I think we can get to about this area here. So when I go in and I go short, right, I'm definitely looking. And here's the other thing, right? Going long and short in a downward market, making sure that you understand that the market at whole is in a downward trend. So most likely it's going to break demand zones or support areas. Okay. Whereas supply areas are going to stay stronger, or resistant areas are going to remain probably. It may break the first one, but the second one, it will hold most likely. So it's important to understand how to quantify your resistance level or supply levels is a way that you need to figure out. But for me, what I do is I kind of go through my time frames, checking to see how the actual system is being set up. So for me, this area here is more of a weak area. I'm sitting there and I'm seeing us put in higher highs, or excuse me, not higher, but higher lows, not necessarily higher highs, right? Like here we go. Like here's one, boom, lower high, or lower high. We have a a higher low. Sorry about that. And we have another high low, right? And we have a higher high, but not in comparison to this. It's more like, but we can see here that we're putting consistent boom, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So as we're already definitely making a movement up. So I'm definitely looking for an inner time frame where I'm sitting there and I'm able to play off of whatever zone I'm looking to do. Always capitalizing on zones, right? You want to wait for it to come down into a zone, being able to have a distinguished or a set amount that you can risk, and then from there, how far it can go, right? So, but you can definitely see that as it's moving up, we are definitely putting in more seller wicks right here and less buyer wicks right down here. As we're moving down, we saw buyer wicks stepping in, by some buyer wicks stepping in, a little bit buyer wicks, but you're definitely seeing more seller wicks step in more so, right? Right here, you can see buyer wicks right here, but then we see the sell-off. So these areas here, you can sit there and see maybe not the market makers, but the institutions are trying to put in positions because they're always long and short. So it's one of those things that you can sit there. They're basically dollar cost averaging many of the things within crypto. Now, as we can see here, we do have some area up in this air. We have some room to run up in this area. So I would sit there and look at this and sit there and say, all right, this potentially could go up, find a support. You can see that we're finding support on this 20 moving average right here. And the 15 average, we're actually seeing a little crossover. So understand that you could play this zone right in this area. But again, I'm looking for more of the momental play than anything. My goodness, people cannot hear me. I do not know why I have issues with this all the time.